Hi, I'm Frank Coleman, and studio setups have been a topic of discussion lately around these parts. So I've been in the middle of renovating my own studio, and I'm still in the middle of it. But I thought I would share some tips and things and some ways of thinking because I had to do this totally on a shoestring, and maybe it will be helpful for you. First thing that I really felt like I needed to do was get a clear grasp on all the different problems that I was trying to solve, and they were numerous, and they included the fact that I had way too many wires. So I needed to make a list, basically, and that's what I did. So some of the problems that I was trying to solve included, but were not limited to, well, let's start with wall warts. This is a wall wart, and it's an AC adapter. This one is for probably a hard drive or something. It's got this big block here with a plug that you plug in, and this other side goes into the device, whatever device it goes to. And the problem with wall warts is when you try to connect them to a power strip, you typically have a lot of these. I happen to have 10 hard drives, 10 external hard drives, each one with, one like this, and they're all different, and they're usually from a third-party manufacturer. It doesn't tell you which hard drive it actually went with, and sometimes they have different voltages, and there's all kinds of dire warnings on the documentation telling you don't mix and match, and so on and so forth. So, and the other problem is that when you have a power strip like this, and you plug in a wall wart into the power strip, it takes up so much room that you can't plug anything into here. Not even a regular, plug. So like this thing could maybe hold 3 wall warts out of a total of, 6 outlets. Half of them are going to go to waste. So the solution to that is this thing called an Octopus. This is an Octopus. And this goes into the wall, and it has 5 appendages here, and each one of these connects to the wall wart. Right, it's a little 3-prong outlet, and it just, et voila, plugs in, and you have 5 of these, and there's one master switch over here to turn them all on and off. And the whole thing terminates with one plug, then go into your wall, or this could go into a power strip, because this is a standard type plug, right? And you wouldn't be wasting lots of outlets that way. So a couple of these, because as I say, I have 10 hard drives, and each one of those 10 external hard drives, and each one of those hard drives has a power line coming from it that goes to a wall wart, and it also has a USB line going to it. And the other problem is that my computer doesn't have that many ports in the back that it can accommodate all 10 of those hard drives, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. So they have to go into a hub. They have to go into like a little gathering place. And that hub itself has a wall wart and a cable that goes to the computer. But with a hub, I can have 4 hard drives come down to 1 cable that goes out as opposed to 10 Skyrillion. You can see how this rapidly could, turn into a forest of wires and stuff, which was exactly the problem I was trying to solve. So the first thing is get yourself a couple of Octopuses. The other thing that I did was there were other problems involved with this, like they need a lot of ventilation. They give off a lot of heat, and you can't let them overheat. The computer, too, I have an iMac Pro, and it generates a lot of heat, so there need to be fans. Those also, I have little USB fans. Those also plug into the hub. So I need a lot of hubs. I need a lot of places for wall warts. I actually ended up using a couple of Octopuses, and so that sort of took care of that. But there was one other problem, which was like where to put all this stuff, and I came up with what I think is an ingenious solution. Well, another issue that I had, really kind of the main usability issue that I had, was that when you're mixing music, you want your speakers to be basically relatively level with your ears, so that your head is in what's called the diamond of sound. It's the place where the sound from the left and the right speaker come together, and your head is sitting in the middle of this 3-dimensional picture of the sound, and you can hear exactly what everything sounds like. Well, the way everything was set up before, my speakers were up too high, and every time I needed to mix, I would sit down in my chair, mix something, and then stand up and listen to it, and then sit back down again. It was very, very inefficient. So it's that, and it was also my main MIDI keyboard controller that I used for laying all my tracks. That was off to the side. So I bought myself a new desk, and I did a lot of research, and I found this great new desk, and it ended up being like $150, like half the price of anything even remotely close. I got it from Walmart. It's just like, and it's solid, and it has drawers for the keyboard and everything, so everything is all centralized, and that all works great. But you know, the final thing is I also had to run absolutely everything off of 2 outlets, and I also have 4 cats. And in my previous incarnation with all my wires and everything like that, they were constantly getting into the wires and causing trouble and unplugging things. And so I needed to get this whole thing down to the absolute minimum amount of wires possible. So I'll show you what I did. What I did was I got a series of milk crates, and I put the hard drives and their hubs and their fans all inside of the series of milk crates. There's like 5 or 6 drives in there. There's another 4 drives inside there. And then down below here is a couple of octopuses inside that. And then because they're milk crates, they've got holes, vents all the way around, including the bottom. So I put the fans up here, and they're blowing down and also off to the side because it has to blow over to my iMac as well. It needs some ventilation. There's also one down there. And all of the cables end up, it's just really a couple of hubs. It's an Ethernet cable in the back. It's actually like a total of 3 hubs, each one holding 4 drives or various miscellany. And those are the only cables that come across. Look at this. The whole thing is basically one power strip I can turn off with my toe. And over there is the power strip for the stuff on the other side, which is the rest of the stereo equipment behind this rack here. Here's my speakers now. And, you know, it's not too bad. It's certainly a hell of a lot better than it used to be. I've got my mic over here. I still have yet to rig up all this video stuff. But this desk does come with a couple of racks, and I got a couple of shelves I could put my restored 70s stereo equipment in here to drive my speakers. So now when I sit down at the chair, I've got my keyboard right here. I got my computer keyboard there, and everything is beautifully in the diamond of sound, and all my hard drives are over there. And at night I just shut the whole thing off with 2 flicks of the switch and save on my electricity bill. I also bought a series of milk crates from Milk Crates Direct, and they have them in every color of the rainbow. And I put, you know, I just organized stuff, MIDI, lights, power, all that kind of stuff, so that I have them nice and neatly organized. And then the last piece of this whole equation is doing what's called dressing the wires, which is where you wrap everything up and you bind it up so that there isn't a whole bunch of loose crap lying around all over the place. But you only really want to do that when you're really sure that you got things the way that you want them to be. And because otherwise you end up tearing it all apart and doing it all over again. But I found something that really helps with that, because inevitably you end up having to rethink things and redo things, so you almost never get it completely perfect the first time. So I got these things. These are Velcro, but they're wire wraps, but they're Velcro wire wraps. So check it out. So fuzzy on one side and scratchy on the other. And so what I do when I want to wrap cables, I spent a lot of years wrapping cables. And trying to figure out exactly the best way to do it so that when you unwrap them, they aren't an ungodly tangled mess. And this is the best thing that I've come up with. Use these Velcro wire wraps, right? And you take the wire and you just wrap it around your hand like this. Watch this. Wrap, 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 wrap. Or if it's big, long, around your arm and your elbow. Right? You get like this. Right? Now, what I used to do is take this end and like wrap it around it and stick it through and all like that, but it was making such a huge mess. Instead, just squish the whole thing together like this with your hand and just wrap one of these guys around it. And it sticks right to itself. Hello, come here. All right, and voila. And there it is, right? And, you know, it's Velcro, right? So it's nice and tough. But if you have to change your mind and undo it, you just unwrap the friggin' thing, because it's Velcro and it's not going to, like, get unsticky or anything, you know? So, and if you got some big heavy thing and you need more, you can just lash a pair of them together. But anyway, these have been an absolute godsend, and you can get them dirt cheap from wherever. So yeah, that's it. That's what I've done to straighten out the studio. And now if I just come up with some ideas, I'll be all set.